Hi, my name is Alyssa Greenberger, and I did my curricular analysis on Eureka Math. Eureka Math was a curriculum that was developed in response to the Common Core state standards. Many other programs adjusted their materials, but the goal of Eureka Math was to totally revamp or create a curriculum to meet the new rigor of the Common Core state standards. So through really studying the Common Core state standards and their progression maps, great minds, Eureka Math, came up with a mission statement. And in this mission statement, they want all students to have deeper and more complete understanding of math, that they're setting kids up for success in education, careers, and in life. And they want to create joy in both teaching and learning. So from this statement and through digging through the curriculum, you can find some epistemological beliefs, and those are to prepare students for college and life through focusing on understanding flexibility and conceptual understanding mathematical problems. They think that math is beyond, they believe that learning math is beyond just memorization, going through processes over and over, but they really want students to understand, and you see this understanding throughout the curriculum. They strive for students to apply their skills to their daily application problems, and they want students to use flexible strategies and teach for flexible strategies and to understand and to use high vocabulary. So that's what they really want students to learn. They don't think math is just doing a process. So to get to this process in a pedagogical way, teachers and students need to use strategies to model, reason, and develop mathematical understanding. A big part of it is the discussion. They want students talking and students using specific vocabulary to help explain their strategies. They also move. When given a new concept in math, they start with concrete materials, whether it's counting actual objects, then they move to pictorial, then to abstract or written strategies with written explanations, and then conceptual understanding with applying and then using all the different strategies to explain their answers. So from this, we can say that it is very focused on the intellectual. That is the purpose of the curriculum. It is for students to be intellectual in their math skills and understanding. So to get to this intellectual, they do use a lot of discussion, which to have a good discussion, students need to be able to develop their social skills, knowing what's the right way to reason, how to listen to others, how to critique others without being offensive. So this purpose is a little hidden. It's a hidden purpose because it's not explicitly stated on what is the best way for students to be social during these discussions, but teachers, if they want to use this with fidelity, will have to develop those social skills in students and in their classroom with their expectations. So thinking about the organization, the progression documents done by the Common Core standards is how they use the curriculum. So you have the vertical alignment to each year of Eureka gets the kids ready for the next years. And then the horizontal, to move from one module, you have to go in order because they call them modules, but they're actually units. But to get to module 3, you have to do module 2 to get the place value understanding to be able to apply this understanding that you get into the next module. It would be very hard to skip around modules in these lessons due to the fact of the background knowledge you need that you gain throughout the different modules. The horizontal organization is very planned to what students need to get to the next module. And to develop those deep understandings, you have to first understand the other modules. So within the modules, within a different content for the media structures, it's mostly linear because it starts with your concrete to pictorial to abstract to application to using different strategies. But at the same time, it spirals because it will start with a smaller the same concept with smaller numbers, and then it builds on bigger numbers, and it comes back around to addition, then subtraction. There's a lot of spiraling going on as well. Also, there's hierarchical structures because you have to have certain understandings from the other modules to get to the conceptual understanding. So with this curriculum, there are a lot of benefits. The biggest benefit I see is the personal, where students are able to use conceptual understanding. Also, these lessons are very scripted, and they give the ability for teachers who don't have much background knowledge. But that can also conflict to teachers and parents who are used to traditional rote memorization. They could harm students' understanding if that's where they put their focus on, which would lead to an inquiry question on, do traditional teachers have a harder time teaching this, even though it is scripted, even though there is a lot of information for the teachers in the documents to understand, but does it hinder them? Do they put more emphasis on the rote memorization parts of the lessons that are there? I'd be curious to understand or to find out how more traditional teachers find what their feelings are towards this curriculum and how they use it. Another big benefit is it meets the new demands of the Common Core state standards as it progresses. It also gets the mathematical practices, which are integrated within each lesson. And economically, it is a free program and can be downloaded at Engage New York. So there are some issues. Each lesson has 5 parts, which leads to a temporal issue. There's so much materials for every lesson. There's an exit ticket, there's a problem set, there's a fluency routine, there's a sprint, there's a application problem, and moving the students through the lesson will take practice. Although it stays consistent through each day, teachers should get a grasp on it, but it will still take a lot of training of the students and management of what is to be expected during each portion of the lesson. This also puts the teacher, since there's so many parts, at the forefront of the lesson, meaning that it can be difficult for the teacher to differentiate, to find the individual students what they need and make adjustments because they are front and center of the lessons. Students are working about independently for 10 to 15 minutes, which is not a lot of time to meet individual needs of students. So it also, I'm coming up with a new personal one, is that having students from different backgrounds or culture too that don't have, who aren't at grade level or beyond grade level can lead to some issues because there are parts for differentiation, but it's the time, even though there is instruction within the manuals on what to do if the student doesn't understand, it's finding the time within those lessons to actually carry out those adjustments. So with there being a lot of materials, this can cause some physical frame factor issues because how are these teachers going to organize these materials? How are the students going to stay on top of the materials? and move throughout the classroom at the different portions of the lesson. Is it this part? It might be best to have them at the carpet, then they're back at their seats, and they're back at the carpet for the discussion. So the classroom layout is gonna either be adjusted or affect the curriculum. So far in my research, Eureka Math develops a conceptual understanding. I should have done this forever ago. In math, using fluency routines, concept development, and application problems. Teachers will need to have at least a 90-minute math block to teach with fidelity. So it is planned for 60, but with transitions, materials, meeting to the students, individual students' need, it will need to be expanded. And teachers will need to move away from using rote memorization and a process approach to develop math conceptual understanding. So I do have some questions that I would want to know about this. It is a great program. It has great motives. It just, the time, the materials, and the diverse amount of students are going to impact how the curriculum is used, which kind of leads to my questions. So what parts do the teacher put the most emphasis on while in use? If they do only have a 60-minute frame, or if they do have students below grade level or above grade level, which emphasis do they put the most on? Is it the concept development, the whole group kind of teaching of the concepts? Is it the fluency routines? Is it the application problem? Maybe people have been trained in CGI, the math program, where it's all story problems. Maybe, so they might put more focus on the application problems. I wonder, how do teachers differentiate lessons to ensure each student is able to successfully meet the standard? I'd be really curious to find out more about this, since the teacher is needs such a high energy level in the process of each lesson. How do teachers plan for intervention lessons while working through the curriculum? Do they maybe skip some lessons, a lesson once a week, so that they can do some intervention math workshop things? So does that hinder the curriculum then, since they have to take some parts out or skip lessons? And which lessons do they skip, and why do they skip those lessons? What evidence proves that the curriculum enables joy in teaching and learning? Since their mission statement says that, it should be evaluated. So what proof is there that students and teachers are enjoying this curriculum? How do teachers manage cooperative discussions that are supposed to take place in each lesson? So which strategies are teachers using to have a classroom climate, culture where these conversations and discussions can take place? And how do they assess those discussions and ensure that each student is using these discussions correctly, hold the students accountable to the discussions? And if those discussions really help the students' conceptual understanding to their mission statement. And then I wonder, how do teachers measure the conceptual understanding that was developed throughout the lesson? So this program is really complex, and to do a full evaluation, you'd really have to look into the different parts, into different classrooms with different students and different grade levels with, yes, it would just, to get a full analysis of this program would take a lot of people inside the buildings coming up with ways to measure the different parts of each lesson. Thanks for watching. This has been an interesting presentation. Thanks.